Contemplate the workings of the inner being. Your eyes are wide open, but are you really seeing?
I tip my hat to you.
But I have no head.
Bum,
Bum, bum, bum, bum. But I haven't got a head. Bum, 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 bum. What's up, Cole?
Hi, Ta.
This is Ty Cole.
This is Mentor
In the Mirror podcast.
Before we even jump into the episode, pause for a second, go leave us a review. We always say it at the end, and I think that it's time we say it at the beginning because, you know, we have so many people come up to us or message us like, I love your show.
The podcast, and they don't review.
I share it with so many people, and they don't leave a review.
Leave a
Y'all,
review,
for
man.
reals,
Come
for
on.
realsies.
Come on.
Pause it for a second. And you don't even have to pause it, actually. I think on iTunes, you can go directly to the review now.
Click the 5 stars.
Give us 5 stars. Tell us a big takeaway for you. What in the last week or even in the last 2 to 3 weeks, what is a realization that you've had or that this podcast has encouraged you to explore? Because that helps
expand.
us get more guests, helps in searches for ratings, and also gives people some idea before they even commit to the show.
And the more you rate, review, and encourage other people to subscribe, the more iTunes puts us in front of more people.
Yeah, it's true.
And
We're trying to change the world.
And the other
y'all.
podcast outlets put us in front of other people too. The more we get listens. So if you're really interested in helping us to expand and get
or
in
you
front
appreciate it or whatever.
and get in front of more people, please review and rate. It would be awesome for you to do that. So thank you in advance. And if you rate, review, subscribe, when the COVID crisis is over, I'll give you a hug, big hug.
You mean if they rate and review after it's over, or you'll just hug them
I'll
later?
just hug you. Period.
You'd hug them now anyway.
I don't
Let's be
care.
honest.
You don't have to.
You've reached
you don't have to do anything.
your isolation
I'm
from hugs at this point.
Done with this shit. I need to hug people.
Oh, how manipulative
Hugging.
of you.
That's right.
So we're going to talk a bit today about manipulation and about your belief that you have a choice and the times you believe you don't have a choice and how you can illuminate some of the awareness to start asking yourself the questions, because this is Mentor in the Mirror, asking yourself the questions when you believe you don't have a choice to discover what your options really are, and the times you think you have a choice and you realize that you are being manipulated and shamed into performing in accordance to somebody else's construct.
Right, and they call it the illusion of choice.
Right.
And there's a whole big thing about the illusion of choice with consumerism. People believe that they have a choice
to be unique, but it's the same as like. Well, I mean, you just get to choose purple or pink.
It's like you get to choose you get to choose what food you eat, and do you really? You have the illusion of choice, but do you really have choice?
True.
And how deep does your choice go? And there's a lot of manipulation in our world where the media manipulates attention and it manipulates the imagination space. And I believe it's a part of what causes a lot of issues on our planet is that our idea space is constantly being manipulated by other things. And when the idea space of an individual human being is governed by something else, it takes away from your freedom. It takes away from your ability to live your life by choice, because you're in a space where you think you're choosing and you're not.
I mean, that's a lot of what's going on in the climate right now, right? Is there is an agenda. Everyone has an agenda. It's being aware that you are a part of someone's agenda, for it or against it to some degree, right? And I think a lot of what I'm seeing right now is it's this polarity or this pendulum swing, that it's either all the way to the right, all the way to the left, total isolation, or let's open everything back up. And when I talk to, say, some of our friends in New York, and they're like, no, I know I can go outside, I know I can. And I'm like, can you really? Like, you in your mind know that you could go outside, right? You are not shackled into the apartment, but the conditioning, the imagery, and the shaming that I watch on Facebook of people really putting each other down and at times threatening or like sending basically curses on someone else's family for being reckless for going out. And this isn't to debate whether you should or shouldn't go out, but it is to talk about the illusion that you have a choice about going out. You don't.
and how far does your choice go?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
and I mean, if you do go outside and there's nobody out there and there's nothing to do and no place to go, you go back home. So you are being manipulated into going back home. So your choice is limited. And even if you have a choice, that choice is being directed. It's being guided. You're being pushed through a funnel to behave a certain way. And when you understand how deep the levels of depth that are going on with this stuff, it's really incredible.
Well, and if you also consider, right, like you're talking about, and I had this conversation, I think I was talking to Keith about it the other day, Keith Norris, and, you know, we were talking about how some civil liberties are being taken away. And you know, what we were discussing is, are we losing liberties, or are people now aware to the fact that you didn't have them to begin
In the first
with?
place.
You had the perception of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And even with these new apps rolling out where they're talking about like tracking, you know, if you've come in contact with people with this virus, another virus, whatever, we've been tracked. Like the idea now that all of a sudden that now they can just publicly track you in a different way. Now they can get you on board to being tracked in a different way. But we've been tracked, y'all.
Yeah, listen, it kills me when people are like, "Yeah, man, I'm turning Alexa off in my house because they're listening." Dude, you got a cell phone in your pocket.
Yeah,
they're listening to you all the time.
They done been listening for a long
forever. Listen,
time.
as long as this technology has been this way, we've been tracked, we've been watched, we've been listened to. You know, all these conspiracy theories about having beacons and tracking devices on stuff.
Yeah, welcome to your cell phone.
If you want to get off grid, it's really hard to get off grid on this planet right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, the idea that people have that they're not being manipulated is an idea.
Well, or now to all of a sudden exhibit the anger, you know, and it's the same with the anger of lives being lost. It's like, I don't know where y'all were when sex slave trafficking and hunger and all this stuff, and it's not to compare and it's not to negate. It's looking at the complexity of suffering and death and morbidity and all of that on this planet has been here since the beginning of time.
Yep.
And to all of a sudden have people up in arms over deaths, it's like, I've actually cared about every death of every circumstance. Like, welcome to the party.
Yeah. And so when you consider, you know, and bringing this to Dan Stickler's differentiation of complicated systems versus complex systems, the human organism is a very complex system. The society is a complicated system, and we've been governed by complicated systems for a long time. And as we move into this new echelon of human existence, are we going to have complicated systems having governance over our complex organisms? Or are we going to start having governance over our own organism to the point that we can, which is the only thing that we actually have governance over, is our own individual organisms. And when we have that governance and we show other people to have governance over their individual organism, not the systems around us,
right,
the individual organism, when you control the input, the output, you know, how you're interacting with each other, that's when we can become empowered and then change things and create a system to fortify our complex organisms, which would be a complex system, a complex organic system of human beings, not being governed by machines, governed by old systems, old paradigms, old constructs, old declarations of whatever, you know, and start to live in a different fashion.
I think the only true freedom, right, the only real freedom from constructs is the awareness that you are in them, how they are manipulating you, and then working with your reactive and response, right? Like when you feel your freedom is compromised and you get reactive to it, right? People are out protesting or whatever, they are reacting to the loss of some freedom.
Mm-hmm.
However, that's something that people can account for and shame for, and it's not going to get you more freedom, right? And I think that the idea people feel like they need to do something, and that doesn't bring more freedom. That might make you feel better. But if you really want to make change, money is one of the fastest ways to get there, and power. And power usually comes with money and influence. And so, you know, something I've really leaned into over these past couple weeks is, all right, cool. So every time I put a post on Facebook that someone didn't like, and it didn't matter from what side, direction, perspective, or otherwise, I would get torn apart. absolutely torn apart. And nobody's asking questions, right? And sometimes I just say, hey, what are your thoughts on this? And the sheer fact that I posted it, getting comments like, I'm so disappointed in you. And it's just like, I don't know what idea you created or what manipulation of my behaviors you're trying to work with right now to get me to perform in the image that you created of me. That's none of my business, for one. And if someone can't come to me and clearly communicate the pedestal they put me on, because that's what it comes down to, I thought more of you, I thought higher of you, then there's nothing else for us to talk about.
Great point. That's pretty good.
So the question comes back to, what are some ways that people can become aware of how they're being manipulated?
So firstly, being aware that you're in a system is the thing.
Sure.
Secondly is knowing how the system works. Thirdly is deciding to do what you feel like doing, what you choose to do, and in the face of the system. You can either roll with the system and kind of nudge your way in, or you can go contrary to the system. So when you think of your man JC, right? Jesus Christ, right? Lord Savior Jesus and all that stuff. This guy was the epitome of freedom. When you look at the story, how he got hung on the cross and all this stuff, and like a lot of people will perceive that this guy was he was imprisoned and he was taken against his will. No, he was like, go ahead, man. He put his hands out. They took him. He chose to walk that path.
Yeah.
And you know, whether it was to, you know, he died to show human beings or whatever. I don't even know if the dude was real or not. But, you know, according to the stories, this guy, Pontius Pilate was like, look, man, all you got to do is say this and I'll let you go. And he's like, you know, just tell me that you don't, you know, that you're not, you know, son of God. He was like, nah, I'm not going to say that shit. And he said, and that was his freedom. His freedom was knowing how the system works and going down with the ship, because he's like, look, man, this is my truth, and your truth is your freedom. And once you know your truth, once you know where you are in a system, that's when you can start to manipulate and yourself and be free the way you feel you're free. And if freedom comes at the cost of your life, then that's what it is.
Well, and that's your choice. But
that's your choice.
But also look at, though, then you look at the imagery of this is a person that was a symbol of freedom and a savior who was strung up on a cross. And the imagery now that if you're a hero, you're coming to help people, that you must be a martyr, that you must die for the cause.
Or you will die.
Right. And I think that right now that's one of the paradigms that has got to shift, is like, I would die for you. No, I want you to live for me. Live with me.
Right. And I'm just saying, this is the thing. When you know how the system works, you know how to go to break the system if you want to. And your freedom is your freedom, and you have to design it. And that's how that guy designed his freedom.
Yeah.
That was his choice. And it's, what are your choices going to be? Do we have to continue in these old paradigms of dying, getting hurt, getting shot, getting killed, being a martyr in order to be free? And I don't think that that's the situation. When we can all amass together and start to be free together, you know, and to start to really recognize and accept each other, love each other, and be with each other, and change the systems, that's when freedom starts.
So the thing is with that, and what we watch with a lot of people and what we deal with, is the idea, well, I can't do that, right? Like, I can't, whatever the choice may be. It's like, well, no, I can't. And the reframe is, you won't. Mm-hmm. There is always another choice. No matter what, there is never one definitive choice. You may not want to, or it may be something that may kill you, but that doesn't mean there's not another choice. Mm-hmm. So in a time like now, when people are like, well, no, I have to wear a mask when I go out. No, you don't. Even legally, you don't. The catch is that if you're going to, there has to be a reason, a cause, at least in the city of Austin, that mental health or physical health would be compromised in wearing a mask. Now, that doesn't mean that if you go out not wearing a mask that you wouldn't be harassed. Right? And so people can wear a mask thinking, I don't want to get messed with. So I'll put the mask on, even though I don't adhere to it, or I don't believe it, or whatever, makes no difference. So part of recognizing your freedom is to choose to put the mask on or not put the mask on. But if you put the mask on because you don't want people to give you a hard time, that is not a choice. Because there's times that you think you don't have a choice and you do. Mm-hmm. And then there's other angles where you think you have a choice, you don't, because of societal conditioning and the constructs that are breathing down your neck.
And there are also circumstances where you think you don't have a choice, and you do.
Right.
There are, there's a myriad of different scenarios with all of this stuff. It's knowing where you are, and from my vantage point, most people don't know where they are, and so it's like, where are you? And the first person to ask is the person in the mirror. Where am I?
And who told me that?
Who told me that? Who told me? Most people I know who are following this stuff are following stuff they hear on the news. They're not even checking in with their local government. They're checking in with Fox News, or they're checking in with CNBC or Facebook or Instagram or whatever social media platform. That's where they're getting their news from. And this stuff is spreading like wildfire. So most people I know don't really know what the situation is,
or why the masks.
No, they don't know why. And I mean, let's talk about why the mask. Why are you wearing a mask in the first place with COVID-19? Why? What are you doing? Do you know what you're doing? Are you trying to stop a virus from getting to you? Or are you trying to stop it from leaving yourself and going to somebody else because you don't know you have it? So what is it?
Well, and understanding how viruses proliferate, just because you put a mask on, then you go out to your car, you take it off, you touch it with your hands. So if you do have the virus, now you've got it all over your hands, your steering wheel, your car,
everything.
Right. So then the next time you go into a store, you pick the mask back up, you put it back on, and I don't know anyone that's putting a new clean mask on.
Well, I know I've seen people, with masks on, who knows if they've had it on all day or whatever.
That's what I mean.
And then they touch it, and then they go and they're in the supermarket and they go and touch everything else. What are you doing?
Touching their cell phone, taking out their credit card, whatever.
Get out of here, man.
Or putting the mask in your purse, and now you've put the virus all over in your purse.
So yeah, I mean, so there's lots of potentials with this stuff. And
so I think a lot of it really does come down to, if your intention is to not spread the virus, learn what a virus is. Mm-hmm. Learn what a virus does. Learn how you are being. The thing is, we're all being manipulated, and manipulation isn't a good or bad thing. It's just a thing. Right? If I pick up my cell phone to text you, I'm manipulating my phone. But it's like you always say, you are constantly being brainwashed. You are being conditioned by advertising, by Facebook, by all of these external sources. Your friends, your community, all create, even if you don't want to adhere to it, you will adhere to many things because of the discomfort of not fitting into the tribe, not fitting into the community, and being outcast. So that question comes back when you sit in front of the mirror. Who told you that? Yeah.
And is the shame running on autopilot in the background? If I do this and people see me, if I don't put on a mask and people see me, I may be excluded from the herd. I may be shamed. I may be spoken bad about. My identity may be challenged, and it becomes uncomfortable. So it runs in the background on autopilot. And if this is going on with you, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I wearing this mask? Do I believe in this? And if you do, cool. If you don't, cool. We're just looking to get you to really ask yourself, why are you doing the things that you do? And this is just one thing. The wearing of masks things is
that's just relative to right now.
It's just relative to right now. If you are doing things in your life, why are you doing them? What's driving you? Who told you to do what you're doing? And are you being manipulated by something that has been programmed into you since you were a child?
It's question everything. That's what it comes down to. If you think you have no choice and you're trapped and you're stuck, it's that you don't want to see the other options. You are choosing to not see anything else. Or when you believe you have tons of options, but you're not doing any of the things that you want to do, or you haven't asked yourself, what do I want to do? Then you are being manipulated into the belief that you have a choice and you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, so awesome. Question everything, y'all. So I
question
invite you,
us.
Really, question the stuff that we're talking about. And
the rants, the raves, all of it.
And if you have questions on this stuff, leave it in the comments, man. Hit us on Instagram. Let us know that you agree or disagree, what you like, what you don't like. We're open to discuss it. We're open to talk about the things that you want to talk about. This is not a closed conversation. This is not something where you have two know-it-alls here who claim to be gurus. This is our perspective. And if our perspective is skewed and you have something that can help us to align, we're open to it. This is not something that we're talking about. We do not put ourselves above you or below you. We put ourselves on par with you. And our greatest mentors are the mentors in the mirror. And
the only thing we are masters of is our own perspective.
That's it. And if you can help to shift my perspective, by all means, bring me something that I can shift my perspective and expand myself with, so that we can expand together. I'm not looking to be in a space of expanding against people or pushing or bumping against other people. people. I'm looking to hold your hand and uplift us, uplift myself, uplift you. Let's build together. I'm not looking to defeat you based on what you believe in, what you think, where you live, how you dress, what your skin color is, what language you speak. None of that makes any difference to me. I am here to be with you. So please, by all means, challenge what we're talking about. I want to hear about it. Cole, I'm sure you want to hear about it. We want to hear about it. We love you. Stand in front of that mirror and ask yourself, who told me that?
And if you're feeling agitated or you're feeling like shook up at night and you're having trouble sleeping, then there are things that are running in the background that are not sitting well with you. Upset stomach, headaches, thinking a lot. Ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me? There's a lot going on, and you may think you're fine. Your body is not fine. So, part of stepping in front of that mirror is asking yourself, am I fine? If you keep telling people I'm good and you're not good, whatever it is, first you have to get honest with you and question yourself.
And with that, please again, rate, review, subscribe, share with a friend, tag us on Instagram, Facebook, your mama book, your sister book.
We've also got an
cousin
exciting
book.
thing coming up in the next week or so. We'll announce soon. We're teaming up with some of the industry's top coaches, mentors, business folk. So if you're a CEO, if you run I would say smallish business, under $1 million probably for most people, small teams, then we'll be announcing that soon to get you through not only the next 90 days, but the next 2 to 3 years to ensure that whatever's manipulating you or keeping you from making decisions, that you have the support to step into this new wave of human evolution, which is going to require a new way of being, a new way of doing, and a new way of staying out of the manipulation, or at least knowing.
Staying out of the hole.
Yes, or getting in the hole, whatever you want to do.
No.
Until next time, my name is Cole.
My name is Ty.
This is Mentor
in the Mirror podcast. Be free.